Hey guys, welcome back to Playback Portions. Today we're going to be making banana bread, which is a recipe that calls for taking bananas and bread and mashing them together. Now, before we start today, I want to put a little disclaimer before we start, because we're calling this healthy banana bread. And I want to make a little point, the personal trainer in me wants to make a little bit of a point about healthy food and what we consider to be healthy. This is not intrinsically a healthy recipe or a healthy dish to eat. It's just something to eat. And it's a big part of food when we use words like healthy or unhealthy. They can be a bit of a misleading term. So what we're eating today is going to be made of oats, bananas, some syrup, which will be natural syrup. That's what makes it healthy. There's nothing intrinsically good or bad about any of those things. It's how we incorporate them with the rest of our diet. So if you make this today or following on from today, we're all isolated at the moment, so I'm sure you're going to have plenty of time on your hands to make things like this. Don't think it's going to be a cure-all for losing weight, and don't think it's going to make you put on weight. It's just something else that you can eat. And because we're using less refined ingredients, naturally occurring sugars, and then other things like fats and a little bit of protein which come with these whole foods, it's just food. But without further ado, here's some banana bread. So, we're going to get our wet ingredients together first. So we're going to go for 2 medium to large or 3 small eggs. Going to add to that half a cup of olive oil. Now this is quite a bland olive oil that I'm using. Do bear in mind that oils can change the flavour of what you're baking. You can also use butter, but we're going to use oil today for a quick bake. So to sweeten, we're going for a mix of maple syrup and honey. Maple syrup doesn't quite raise your blood sugar as high as sugar does, which is what makes it healthy. Final wet ingredient will be some vanilla extract. Into a separate bowl go our bananas. Would you count them as wet or dry?
Wet.
You would say wet.
Slightly, you?
No, I'm trying to say they're still solid, but they do provide a lot of moisture. And then mash down with a fork. That should do. Mix will be slightly lumpy with banana. That's normal. Now, we are using instant oats or oat powder. We're not using the brand name for this, although if you recognise the logo, that's the one that we're using. And we're going for 2 cups worth of oats, or 200 grams is the rough translation. And the reason why we use oat flour rather than wheat flour or refined flour is that it is literally just pure oats blended up with all their fibrous goodness. Doesn't mean it's any more or less carbohydrate dense than normal flour, but it's got some other good bits in there and has gone through less refinement, so is healthier. We want to give the flour some flavour, so we're putting in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and a little bit of salt, half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and half a teaspoon of baking powder. We dry mix those together for a minute. And finally, we can combine our dry and our wet mix. Add in between 1/3 and 1/2 at a time. Last stage of mixing, switch to a paddle so you can more fold the ingredients in. Just going to lubricate the tin with some butter. Not that it particularly matters because we're going to be using greaseproof paper. However, if you lubricate the tin, it makes the greaseproof paper remove more easily and also helps it keep flat when you move the paper down. Now ideally, we'd be doing this in a proper baking tin, a baking loaf tin. I don't have one. I have a silicone one somewhere, but it's gone walkabout. I've got a feeling a family member's nicked it and taken it to their house. So we're going to use this instead. Now, because it's metal, just be wary if you're using a metal tin, because it can affect the heat a little bit. I'm not an expert, I'm more of a layman, but it's something to do with the fact that when you form metal, the atoms that form the bond have free roaming electrons which help convey kinetic and heat energy much better, and so therefore get hotter more quickly and work as good conductors. So just be careful. Last stage is completely optional, but it's there if you want it. Just scatter some oats along the top. And this will now go in the oven at 160 degrees fan, or 180 degrees normal, or get a conversion table, work out the Fahrenheit. I don't work on that system. Okay, so after a short interlude in the oven, it's been baking at 160 degrees Celsius in a fan oven. We are left with this. Now, it was covered up with a nice clean tea towel, just for the sake of keeping a bit of heat in and also protecting it. And we've let it rest for an extra half an hour, so it should have firmed up a little bit. Always jab it with a toothpick or something similar to make sure it's solid all the way through and nothing wet comes out on the other side. Let's give it a little go slicing it. And that looks pretty solid to me. Is the cameraman trying any? Oh, okay, fair enough. It's better than the one that I made last week, if that helps. It's really nice. It's a bit awkward with the camera filming me eating, to be honest. Yeah, that's nice and delicate, that one. So, no refined sugars, no refined flours, just bananas, oats, a little bit of oil and some natural sweeteners. And it's perfect for snacking, breakfast, and bearing in mind the current state of the world, good to spend a bit of time just baking, just to help meditate through and relieve some boredom. So we'll see you soon. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for regular cooking videos. Might do.